welcome in, and ting and ting and ting. And today we're going to be watching Flavors of Romania, and this is Moldova. You understand? So I'm gonna go in here, and I do believe this is going to be a part that speaks about the beauty and the history and the culture of Romania. This is something that a lot of people told me if I want to find out about Romania, that this is the documentary I should watch. I think the man's name is Mr. Otley, Ottley. I believe it's a pronunciation name. So I'm really excited here. You understand? Because this like it's gonna show some beautiful stuff, some historical stuff. I'm all excited. Come on in with me because I'm telling you this one's gonna be a banger. Let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer. Yeah.
Romania is a land of 1,000 faces. The crossing point between the Occident and the Orient, and a melting pot of different cultures. It is also a country unlike any other in Europe. With over 60% of the Carpathian Mountains weaving through it, Romania is the custodian of Europe's last great wilderness area, its largest remaining forest, and 2/3 of its surviving alpha predators. But increasingly, this unique country's natural and cultural heritage is under threat from reckless development and a race to modernize, which is often destroying the very things that could ensure prosperity and a sustainable livelihood for generations to come. The next leg of my journey takes us north to Moldova, an ancient region covering the easternmost part of the country. Originally twice its current size, it included northern Bukovina and Basarabia.
Oh,
Now the
Bukovina.
separate and not to be confused with Republic of Moldova. My starting point is the historic capital of Iași, one of Romania's foremost centers of culture and its second largest city. But as with life, you often learn more on the journey than you do at the destination. On the outskirts of a small village, appropriately named Frumoasa, was a scene that for the moment is still iconic to large parts of the Romanian countryside. Having driven past traditional haymaking so often before, this time I felt compelled to stop for a closer look.
Bună ziua!
Bună ziua!
Charlie.
Nicu.
Nicu.
We are preparing the hay for winter, for the animals. So it's a tradition in our family, in our area.
Yeah.
When our family has to do the hay, all the other families gather to help us.
They'll come back from wherever they are.
And when they have to do their hay, we're gonna help them.
It's such a lovely tradition. And obviously it's vitally important as well, because...
It's vitally important because it's providing food for the animals for all the winter.
I noticed that haystacks look different in different parts of Romania.
There are three types of haystacks, yes. For example, you see here are a little bit slimmer.
Yes. And taller.
And taller because it's a type of herb. You see it.
Okay, so it depends a lot on what's growing.
On what's growing.
Fascinating. I never knew that.
This particular herb, you make it slimmer and taller. If you want to come with us to eat lunch.
That is extremely kind.
After we eat, our brother will make a haystack for you. Please take a seat.
What is your...
My brother, he was saying that this is our little social network, our little Facebook, because after we eat, we are talking about...
all the local gossip.
All the local gossip, yes. And other stuff we can say.
Things you can't say on camera, yeah. Absolutely.
You can imagine it.
How long does it take to build all the haystacks?
Like a week or two.
So everyone here is going to work for at least a week to do this?
At least, yes. They are working with us. They are helping us.
Work hard and eat hard.
Yes, yes. In this moment, you forget about all the hard labor, you forget about the weather, and you just enjoy a good meal in the middle of the nature with the family. In fact, I would give up all the money in the world just for these moments of tranquility and
Yeah.
the shelter above your head, and that's enough.
It's
yes.
greedy to ask for more.
For us, the family is the most important thing.
Yeah.
This is the hard part.
Making it deep enough.
The wind is blowing it over if you are not...
If you're not making it deep enough. Yeah,
enough.
absolutely.
And now he's starting. At first you put it with your hand.
Yep.
Otherwise he will reach the dirt and it will start rotting.
Yeah, okay, so it's got to be off the ground to stop the moisture from coming up. So you pack it down tightly and it acts like the thatch on a roof, I guess.
Exactly.
Congratulations. Look at that. Finished haystack, a thing of beauty.
In our community, as was saying my brother, the making of a haystack was a probe of
Manhood. So you weren't a man until you could make a good haystack like
Yeah.
this. Well, Niku, thank you so much.
It was a lot of pleasure to share this experience with you.
I'm on my way to Yash.
You know what that remind me of? It remind me of when I was a kid. We used to live in the countryside in a place called Grand Roy, and we had a garden, but the garden wasn't really close to the house. And I remember riding a donkey as a kid, and we had to go over these hills and stuff to get to where the produce was planted. You know what I mean? And mom used to like prepare a basket of food, you know, because my dad wasn't around. It was just me, my mom, and other siblings, and we would go to where the garden is, you know, the vegetable garden and stuff, and we would spend the day, you know, mulching and digging and doing whatever they do. And I was too young, so I would just sit there and watch and play in the dirt and stuff like that. And then mom would put out a thing on the like a tablecloth type thing on the ground, and then we would have lunch, and then they'd get back to work and stuff. And you know, I mean, it wasn't like a complete family, but it was a family anyway. You know what I mean? And I kind of remember that riding that donkey. I know this they're doing haystacks, but you know, it's a sort of similar ritual type thing where you know you go to the family, and sometimes some people would come help. You know, there were other grown people there, and I never knew who they were. I never know what happened to them after we moved.
Well, I wanted to stop here just outside Hush because there's a fantastic example of how young people are embracing tourism in rural areas. Her name is Alina, and she set up a horse riding business when she was 14 years old. And she's bringing people here to take them riding in the forest.
Oh,
Alina,
I'll do that.
who's this?
Rafian
Afian?
and Phil.
Phil the horse. Great. So I'll be riding Phil. I'll just jump on, I guess, and off we go.
Phil is having a baby.
Phil is having a baby. So Phil is a girl. I should have noticed that, really. Okay, I will be very gentle with you. Right, which way should we go?
In this way.
Right, through the woods. Lovely. Okay, I'll follow you.
I haven't ridden a horse in so long.
So this is the usual route you take
Yeah.
tourists, yeah? Through the forest and through the vines. I love
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
What was it
wow.
like setting up the business? How did you start?
Am început de la 14 ani, dar eu sunt pasionată de când eram mică. Și prima dată m-am sit pe un cal la un vecin. Ei, și de atunci am zis că vreau să-mi iau și eu un cal. M-am rugat de părinți, cred că vreo 2 ani, să-mi cumpere un ponei. Mi-am luat după aia primul cal, al doilea, s-au înmulțit și am reușit să ajung aici.
And you have now got friends working with you, haven't you? So it's kind of like a cooperative.
Da, da. Am 2 prietene care mă ajută în fiecare zi și un îngrijitor dimineața, cât sunt eu la școală.
So tourism is still pretty underdeveloped.
Nu prea avem turiști. Mai mult din oameni din acest oraș.
So not
Sau
many.
Iași, Brașov mai vin,
Okay.
Bârlad. Am avut astă vară o familie care vine din America cu o fetiță de 3 ani
Americans, okay.
și m-am descurcat. Adică am reușit să comunic cu ei. Fata era foarte pasionată la 3 ani.
Although there are more and more places providing riding holidays and hikes by horseback, it was great to see how young people like Alina are waking up to opportunities offered by a burgeoning tourist trade. In fact, tourism is now a subject widely offered at universities across the country. Which brings us to our next destination. Welcome to Iași, often described as the capital of culture, and home to 5 universities and over 60,000 students a year.
Wow.
I'm here for a spot of much-needed self-improvement and the chance to see some of its more educational attractions.
All right, here we
For
go.
example, it is no surprise that Iași also boasts Romania's oldest and most extensive botanical gardens, responsible for numerous conservation initiatives, including helping to identify and protect Carpathia's diverse flora. For my first stop, I had an appointment with senior researcher Tiberius Balaeus. Tell me, the university owns botanical gardens, so education is a very important facet. What else are you doing here?
Well, our institution plays several roles. We are doing research, we are doing preservation, we are maintaining in our living collections rare plants that are endangered.
Oh, wow.
We are assessing the
Yeah,
wild
cacti there too?
biodiversity. We are going in wild habitats and doing the research there. But we are also involved in a project for bioremediation, a restoration of the natural ecosystem through biological methods.
They've previously been damaged by man, presumably.
Yes, unfortunately, we have a big negative legacy from the communist period with its industrial activity, specific for those times.
It seems to be a common theme as I've travelled around the country that this is happening with everything from forests to mycology to many of Romania's natural resources. There isn't necessarily enough legislation and there isn't necessarily enough funding to implement that legislation.
Yes, we all have to do more as a society. There are several NGOs involved in promoting good practices, but we are still few. We have to fight stronger for these causes.
Well, maybe that could be another role for the botanical gardens, campaigning.
Yes, we are involved in promoting campaigns in public education.
Because if
This
the
is the
next
more
generation respects nature more, then it won't be quite as bad as it
And
is
it
now.
starts from when you're a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on from the study of botany, it was time to swat up on Romanian literature with a visit to the house of famous writer and children's author Ion Creangă. A good friend of poet Mihai Eminescu, Creangă was one of the key figures in 19th century literature. A defrocked Romanian Orthodox priest, he became famous for his volume of childhood memories, short stories, and often ribald anecdotes.
Oh.
Creangă was
I'm about to
a
check him
colourful
out.
and controversial character whose works are still studied and provide a fascinating insight into the social mores and folklore of his day.
He used to sit here in the summer with his friend Mihai Eminescu, and they'd gaze out over the hills here. There were a lot less houses in those days, and not these trees, and there'd be a beautiful view. And they used to write poems and stories together, and probably have a suica. As a poet myself, this is truly amazing. I'm very jealous. It would have been wonderful to have been there and just heard them.
Yeah.
It's a moment, priceless moment in cultural history. The impact Ion Creangă has had on Romanian culture has been huge. Not only did he write teaching books for kids, the first teaching books, how to read, how to write, etc., but his children's stories have endured, and his very life and his musings have provided a unique insight into what life was like in the 19th century.
Probably the grandest centre of learning in Iași is the
Wow.
Palace of Culture, home to no less than 4 museums and containing 299 rooms. Constructed in 1906 and not completed until 1925, it is a truly awe-inspiring neo-Gothic pile.
Wow, look at that architecture.
It would require days to see everything, so to get a flavour, I took an abridged tour with resident guide Coralia Costas.
Coralia, hello.
Hello, welcome to the Palace of
Thank you so
Culture.
much. I had no idea it was this enormous.
And
you could spend the whole
grand.
day here and not see
Yes.
everything, couldn't you?
Yes, there are many things to discover in here. I have been working here for rather many years by now, but I still find out new things every day.
Wow.
Wow.
This is the Voivod's
Yeah.
Hall.
You said I'd say wow, didn't you?
Yes, everybody does so. So it was designed at the beginning as a festivity hall, and the name is due to the medallions which are in the upper part of the room,
Wow.
starting with the Decebal, continuing with the Roman emperors, Trajan and Aurelian.
So this is a portrait history of Romania.
Yes, indeed. It's a history of Romania in portraits.
Portrait. Another very opulent-looking room.
Yes, indeed. It's called now the Henri Coandă Hall because of the material used to decorate it. It's not wood, although it
This
looks
isn't wood.
like wood. Yes,
Okay,
it's
it
a
looks-
special mixture.
Completely like wood.
Yes, it imitates the oak wood, but it's actually
Wow.
a mixture of plaster with a special kind of resin.
And the
I thought all of that
murals
was
on the
wood.
wall,
The murals on the wall were added later on in the 1970s. They were painted by contemporary artists of the moment. There are buildings of various regions, let's say, of the city of Iași. Here we have the educational city, if you want, with the Central University Library and the university in the back. In the middle we have the historical center of the city, and on the other side we have the industrial quarter of the city.
What's interesting from everything that you've been saying is it's clear that Iași is kind of the center of academia from a historical point of view, the whole of Romania.
Yes, it was the starting point of the academic life of Romania. It was here that the first modern Romanian university was founded in
wow.
1860.
And it's got 4 of them now.
Yes, now we have 4 universities, state universities.
No wonder there's so many kids wandering around this city the whole time. Everywhere we go, we see children and students.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that we didn't have time to show you the Science Museum and the Ethnographic Museum, but then if you saw it all, there'd be less incentive to come here and experience it for yourself. And you really should.
That little piece of what I just saw, that's enticing, boy. Wow. I have never been in a place like that, ever. The closest I've come was not as historical, but you know, as far as a museum is concerned, I went to the Metropolitan in New York, and that was like, wow to me. The Guggenheim is very modern looking, you know what I mean? But this one was historic looking, and the Metropolitan was kind of a historic looking too. The architectural construction of it was kind of like that. But man, it looks so peaceful. And it's all exotic too.
It's amazing.
That's why there's so many kids around. They go into the museums and stuff.
Out in the Moldovan countryside beyond Iași, a different kind of culture proliferates, and indeed provides a way of life for many of its residents, namely viticulture. With gentle hills, south-facing slopes, porous soil, and plenty of sunshine, this is an ideal place for growing grapes. I have come here to the town of Cotnar to meet a family who have become rather successful at it. But before seeing how, I was due to meet son and heir, Remus Delianu, at the crumbling manor house he wants to transform into a 5-star retreat to accommodate the new breed of Eno tourists keen to experience the fruits of Romania's burgeoning wine industry.
Remus,
Hello, Charlie.
Hi.
Welcome.
what a lovely building.
Yes, thank you very much. It's one of the historical buildings around this area.
yeah.
It was built in 1901. It's called Castle Vladoianu. Actually, now it looks like it's in a good shape, but it needs a little bit of restoration. We will do this in 2 or 3 years. It's going to be a tremendous hotel, 5 stars. Let's go inside and take a look, please. After you.
Mulțumesc.
Oh wow. Original architecture.
Look at this. So the restoration work's already started.
Yeah, we just started, but we are trying to do this with small step because it's a lot of things we have to restore. We want to make it look good. We want to pick good historians. We want to choose a good architect that can deal with the restoration exactly like they were 100 years ago. There's a lot of work, and we have to be careful about this.
Yeah.
Your family bought this when you were young, didn't they?
Yeah, actually, I remember when I was 8 years old, I used to come here with my parents. It brings up very nice memories indeed for me. Let me draw you upstairs, please, and see the next part of the building.
Okay.
So, as you may notice, these are the original staircase built over 100 years ago.
They survived very well, haven't they?
Yeah, this means building something with great quality.
Yeah.
They still look very, very good.
Yeah.
Look at this. Uh-huh. What's up the stairs?
I don't know. I never been there.
Never been up there?
No, no, no.
We have to go and have a look. Clearly, caution is required.
Yeah, just be careful
Step with
where you
care.
step. Yeah, it's great.
What an amazing attic. The potential
that's
for
an
this.
attic.
You didn't know this was up here at all, did you?
Actually, I didn't know about this. It's like a hidden treasure.
It is a hidden treasure.
That's that's one thing, man. I love old buildings with old staircases. And I'm trying to remember where it is I walk in a building that old with staircases like that. And I just can't remember. But I know I walked and it was back on the island or one of the islands. Where was that I was walking with an old staircase like that? Because when I was growing up, some of those buildings, they were really old, built like in 1920s, 1910s and stuff like that. And I know I either lived somewhere where there was an old staircase like that going up. But geez, I don't remember. Now, some of the old government buildings were like that. It was old staircases, wooden, and you go up and they have the same sort of railing, wooden railings and stuff, and they creak. Oh man, that was so beautiful. Those old creaky buildings like that.
Very nice. Boutique attic bedroom with balcony.
Yeah, right. Good idea.
Yeah.
Actually, in front of us, you can see one of our wineries. And to be honest, it is the smallest one.
That's the smallest.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be interested to see the largest.
Okay.
All right.
Never been to a vineyard.
It was just a 5-minute drive around the hill to reach the main winery, but I felt like I'd been zapped years into the future.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. 1 million bottles.
1 million bottles a year.
No, a month.
A month. A modest quantity of alcohol.
Pretty modest, pretty modest.
Wine production's come quite a long way since the days of the Dacians, hasn't it?
Yeah, but the main principles...
The principles
I think, do
remain
exist.
the
Yeah,
same.
only the technology evolved a lot.
Our first stop, down a dizzying array of different stairs, was the wine cellars, deep underground to maintain a steady temperature all year round.
We have over 100 barrels in every cellar.
Have you ever thought about expanding the business a bit, you know, growing the business?
I'm open for new ideas.
I can't believe how much wine you've got down here.
Yeah.
That is absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, thank you.
From this labyrinth of barrels, we ascended to the Vinoteque, or library of wine.
Yeah, let me show you.
This is amazing.
Yeah, we have a few 100,000 bottles here.
A few 100,000 bottles.
Yeah.
Do you know exactly how many, or have you lost count?
Actually, we have about 1 million. So this is one of our main stars, a bottle of Grassa from 1956. Be very careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Be extremely careful.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, look at the dust on that. It's just
it's great, pure.
a thing of
The
beauty.
nature.
Is there much decay with the corks?
Yeah, in some cases, some of the corks might be a little bit decayed, and we have a guy checking the bottles all the time.
That's his
And-
job.
Yeah.
Being down here, checking
Yeah,
bottles
checking all
day long.
All day long. If there are some chances for one to be rotten, he removes them carefully because first we have to preserve the quality of the wine and replace the bottles with new corks.
That must be a very frustrating job. You can't really have a quick tipple while you're down here, so you're experiencing all this amazing wine every day,
Yeah, but
and you just got to put the cork back. You know?
Yeah.
Put that back.
Yeah. Extremely careful.
Yeah. Right.
Let me off.
After you.
Yeah.
Remarkable though it is, this endless corridor of bottles reminded me of the catacombs beneath Paris or Rome.
The scale of this is similar to these tunnels that just go on, and you see skulls and skulls and skulls on either side. This is a much nicer version of that experience.
It's much more different. Yeah, it's a nice one, not the creepy one.
Not a creepy one, exactly.
Back at ground level, it was time to test my palate, with a little help from Remus's brother Victor.
Yes,
Charlie.
Victor, nice to meet you.
So, over to you, really.
For start, we will have 6 wines. They are all local varieties that you can find in our vineyard. This is actually my favorite wine.
Oh, that's lovely.
Bit of leather, pine.
What's the Paris connection?
Because in Romania, when we taste rosé wine, we think about love. And Paris, the city of love.
So it's a wine for lovers.
Yeah.
After a most informative and relaxing hour, tasting a comprehensive selection from Cotnar's labyrinthine cellars,
What a fantastic colour. That's gold.
I was left with just one question.
Have you considered making any sparkling wines? I know it's not traditionally done here in Romania, but with the varieties of grapes you have here.
You're right. We've just launched on the market 3 different types of sparkling wine. Let's make a comparison. We're gonna take a bottle of champagne and 2 of sparkling wine.
So I have to work out which is the champagne in this case.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? Shall I just go outside and I'll leave you guys?
I'm
Okay.
gonna prepare the glasses.
Right. Okay, bring it on. Okay, I'm seeing more effervescence, more minerale coming from this glass than these two. So my first impression would be that is the champagne. I'm going to try this one first because I think this is the odd one out from looking at it, but not conclusive at this stage. I'm not tasting a great deal of difference between glass number 1 and glass number 2. And it might be because we've already had 6 wines. That's a possibility, which I can't discount. So I'm hoping this is the odd man out. Yeah, you see, it's not easy. Hang on.
A little bit harder than you expected, maybe.
That's the champagne.
Wrong.
Seriously?
Yeah.
In that case, may I revert to my original thesis that it was glass number 1?
Oh, you're so wrong.
Again.
Yeah.
You see, you cannot tell any difference in colour. You cannot tell any difference in the size of the bubbles or the amount of the bubbles. And I can't tell any difference in the taste. All I can say is congratulations. I know I'm not an expert, but if I can't tell the difference, and I really couldn't, it's another string to the bow of Romanian winemakers. Thank you very much. It's been brilliant to meet you both.
No, I've always wanted to visit a winery, a vineyard, and everything like that. And I always used to think of the vineyards of France or Italy. I'm thinking, hey, Romania is looking like the place to go for a vineyard. You understand what I'm saying? That thing? Because this place looks, oh man, that place is so beautiful. Because right in the middle there, you have all that historical stuff going around that you could go visit. So there's a cornucopia of things to do. Yeah, and reserve a day to go check out the winery. Several people are like, you need to come here. Trust me, I'm trying. Top of the bucket list. Top of the bucket list, I'm telling you.
A couple of miles outside Kotnar sits the remains of a building which has enormous cultural significance, not just for this area, but for the whole country. The Latin school, built here in 1562, was one of the earliest in Romania.
See, that's
It
what I'm
paved the
talking
way
about.
for higher education in Moldova and set the groundwork for Iași to subsequently become the historic seat of learning it is today. However, as I discovered, little remains of it, either in memory or in the flesh.
Oh,
Okay, so a bit of suspension of disbelief is required here. You have to imagine 200 kids studying here for 5 years. Latin, bit of arithmetic, rhetoric, and they'd have dormitories, there'd be teachers, there'd be the hustle and bustle of daily school life. Far cry from today.
The floor of the tower was littered with ancient stone tablets that, rather than lying here in the dirt, might merit their own place in the Palace of Culture.
One of the first references to the Latin College was by a writer who taught here called Ioan Sommer, or Johannes Sommerus, who wrote a series of eulogies, and in one of them he said the following: "Meanwhile, I have to raise my children and also walk on humble ways until they learn the basis of Latin and are able to express themselves correctly." There you are, it's the root of all rhetoric, the genus of species, the basis of learning, and it's sad to see one of the first places that taught Latin in such a state of disrepair. Look at this, it's a jungle. You think someone might come and at least trim it. But no, the local authorities will tell you they can't do anything because they need permission from Bucharest, because this is an A-grade building. That hasn't stopped people in the past attempting to restore it in a hopeless fashion. Look at the pointing there done with modern cement, completely incongruous with the materials that were originally used to make this. Meanwhile, it's just going to sit here until it falls down. Imagine how it must have sounded. And now listen. Nature reclaiming the works of man. And this is happening all over Romania. Until we find a way through the bureaucracy. And also, when funds are available, implement them in the right way, instead of messing it up like Repair Castle. Then thousands of historic monuments, medieval buildings like this one, are in danger of being lost. Hello. Can you go and munch some of those weeds over there, please? Nature's lawnmowers.
is that a goat or a sheep? Oh, it's a goat.
5 minutes.
That's one thing I want to do, man. I hope they are restoring some of these old medieval buildings. I would love to walk in them and just, man, to think, especially in old schools and stuff, to think of the minds that walked through those places. The great minds, you know what I mean? And even if it's just students and stuff, you know, the fervor for learning stuff and all of that, maybe it will rejuvenate my enthusiasm for learning as much as I can, you know what I mean? Because life goes on. The best way to spend life as you live it is to learn as much as you can about what's around you. You know what I'm saying?
Minutes further up the road is an even older monument, a Thracian Iron Age hill fort with commanding views across the surrounding countryside.
Okay.
For a while, it included a covered museum that sheltered a section of exposed earthworks. But even that is now being absorbed back into the landscape, like the structure it was once designed to protect.
Not that I want to labour a point. Well, that's not strictly true. But this charming museum was built about 50 years ago, and was supposed to protect this segment of excavated fortress. Hasn't really happened. It would have been better if they just left it.
Moldova is peppered with ancient ruins like these, all in various stages of disrepair. One of the most impressive is Neamț Fortress, overlooking the town of Târgu Neamț. Founded in the 14th century and subsequently enlarged by Stephen the Great, this impressive castle successfully repelled the Ottomans in 1476, but was eventually abandoned in the 1700s. To learn more about its history and recent restoration, I met up with local expert Vasily Diaconou.
He did some reservations.
Hello, welcome to us.
Thank you very much. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's the northern part of the fortress, the outcourt. It was an important role for defense of this fortress.
And these circular buttresses are for adding strength to the walls, yeah?
Of course, they are circular because it was an important measure that could not be destroyed with cannonballs or catapults or other weapons. Here is the second entrance of the fortress.
Yeah.
It was built in the time of Stephen the Great, but the first entrance you can see in front of
this
us.
one here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the original inner courtyard of the first build.
Yeah. Because Peter I built a small fortification with four towers.
Why did he
each,
build a castle
corner.
here?
It was an important reason because this fortress protected the commercial roads of this area, the roads which connect Moldavia with Transylvania or southern part of Moldavia with the northern part of Moldavia, with Suceava area. It was the capital, as you know.
So, in some ways, it was like a police station for the local area.
It was a kind of police station because inside here there are a lot of soldiers. In the same time, it was an administrative center.
Administration.
Yeah.
Why do people do this? It's good
It's
luck.
something about luck.
It's good luck. It looks like an Aladdin's cave down there. I think you might need to send someone down every year to fill up a sack and put it towards the maintenance of the castle.
Maybe.
Otherwise, I bet you someone else will do it. It'll just go money all the way up to the top eventually. I know this is a reconstructed room.
Yeah,
but it
it's reconstructed.
does feel very authentic.
In present, we propose that in the Middle Age here it was the place for the court.
So they had a court of law here.
Court of law.
I heard somewhere that was also a mint. Is that right?
Yes, because the archaeological evidence proved that in the 17th century, here in a room of this fortress was an illegal place where they faked money.
Without the king's knowledge or with the king's knowledge?
With king knowledge,
With the
maybe.
king's- Really?
Yeah.
Fascinating. So it was a centre of law and order, but it was also an illegal mint.
Yeah, in the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
12 kilometers south of Târgu Neamț is
I tell you, I've been to, when I was growing up, there was some houses that were built, I mean, just, regular family houses with a courtyard, and it's like surrounding and there's a courtyard in the thing. And at some point, it became like several families living there and they had that courtyard to themselves. That would be a really neat idea. It'd be like a small village in and of itself. But I remember that. And I know certain parts of South America, that, I don't know if it's still popular, but I know it was popular to build houses with courtyards and stuff. There was one right next to, actually there was a couple of them, where you walk in a wooden door and you go in there and there's a little courtyard and it's a small one. And there's different houses back there, you know what I mean, pretty much. And some of them are joined together too. And yeah, wow. That just brought back a memory there. There was one, I think it was on St. Jules Street is where it was. You walk in and there's a gate there and there's just several domiciles, it's houses, but they seem to be joined together. And it's like just a group of people living back there, like what, 4 or 5 families, you know what I mean? I wonder if it's still there. Probably not. It's been almost 50 years. Wow, that brought back a memory there.
Svaratek, a secluded Romanian Orthodox monastery run entirely by nuns. Founded in 1785, it is still thriving today with a bakery, workshops and a team of skilled artisans whose creative and artistic output not only pays for the day-to-day running costs, but also raises money for a host of good causes. Within the walls of the monastery, a chapel, museum, dormitories and workshops surround neatly tended gardens and shady bowers. This peaceful exterior belies the fact that behind closed doors, Svaratek is a veritable haven of industry. My penultimate stop on our whirlwind tour of Moldova is a hidden gem located in Târpești, just around the corner from Svaratek. Welcome to the Popa Village Museum, founded in the 70s by local sculptor Nicolae Popa, who after being imprisoned for fighting against communism, devoted the rest of his life to defending and preserving Romanian heritage. The result is a prestigious collection of folklore, art.
I actually reacted to a song by the band named Phoenix about Papa. That must be him. But wow. Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Okay. Hey, you see? Something, man. I'm kind of speechless here because, you know, I just, that's so neat. Oh, Papa. Phoenix, the folk song, rock and roll type vibe. Oh, my goodness. That's kind of cool.
Sculpture and cultural curiosities that has not only brought fame to this small corner of Nantes County, but is drawing visitors from around the world. The museum is now run by Papa's son, also called Nicolae, who kindly made time to give me an insight into the life and works of his father.
Salut! Cum e? Ce faci?
Ce faci? Foarte bine.
Foarte bine.
Foarte bine. I'm just totally entranced by your museum. It's so beautiful.
E rezultatul muncii, pasiunii unei persoane care a dorit să salveze patrimoniul cultural al lumii rurale. Deci o persoană plecată de aici, care a văzut în anii 64, să zic, semnele modernizării lumii satului și atunci s-a gândit că ar fi foarte important să adune toate aceste obiecte care riscau să dispară, pentru că modernizarea a început într-un mod neplăcut prin distrugerea, deci tendința oamenilor era să se debaraseze de tot ce era vechi și atunci tata a fost pur și simplu panicat, spunea dacă va continua, totul va continua în ritmul acesta, în câțiva ani o să distrugă, o să dispară tot ce ne evocă istoria și trecutul nostru. Eu o să le adun pe toate și o să fondez un muzeu. A adunat peste 4.000 de obiecte. Atunci când a fondat muzeul, tata s-a gândit să încerce cu o prezentare a istoriei, a vieții culturale și materiale a comunității locale, începând din timpurile străvechi, deci din perioada arhaică, trecând prin epoca nouă a pietrei, cultura cucuteni, apoi perioada getodacică, epoca feudală, epoca modernă, deci până în zilele noastre.
Tell me about the origins of the dance of the goat and the dance of the bear.
O parte din tradiții s-au pierdut. Noi încercăm să conservăm ce se mai poate din folclorul de altă dată. De exemplu, vreau să-ți fac o surpriză și anume să-ți arăt capra și ursul. Cum era capra și ursul la noi. Hai, cu copiii de aici. Hai să vedem. Sunt tentat să cred că vechimea lor, eu știu, urcă lumea șamanilor în societățile arhaice. La noi masca, de-a lungul timpului, a căpătat un rol, dacă vreți, aproape social. De ce? Pentru că cu 200 de ani, cu 100 de ani în urmă, în noaptea de anul nou, era singurul moment din an când puteai satiriza tot ce s-a întâmplat negativ în comunitate, în sânul comunității, puteai să îl critici chiar pe notabilii satului, primarul, notarul, dacă au făcut rău comunității. Vedeți, măștile sunt de o diversitate tipologică foarte mare. Ideea era să te corectezi. Deci erai satirizat, dar trebuia să te corectezi. Nu te corectai. În anul următor, eu știu, unele trăsături fizionomice erau accentuate. Nasul devenea mai mare pentru un bețiv, urechile mai mari și așa mai departe.
Bravo, 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 bravo. It's pretty good.
It is.
So I take it this is just part of a bigger documentary. So I'm gonna have to find the next part to keep watching it. But that was Moldova, man. Wow, I've never thought about that visiting that region of Romania. It's quite interesting, quite exotic actually, when you really think about it. And there's just so much to do there. So much historical stuff. Oh, the winery. That's definitely on the list. And it doesn't seem to have massive cities really close by, you know what I mean? There is, if you know what I mean, but you could still see rural areas. And I don't know how old this documentary is, but I'm hoping that, you know, there's still, it's got everything, ancient ruins. It's got a decent sized city right there. It's got the winery. You know, the last thing that was on there, the monastery and all that cool stuff, man. You know what I mean? Wow. Somebody suggested that to watch this, and thank you. I'm gonna have to check out more of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I learned some new things, and like I said, I think the Papa is probably the same person. It's probably the same person that the group Phoenix sang about, which I reacted to that song. You see how everything sort of comes together there, and that's kind of cool. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, drop a like on the video, comment down below, tell me anything else about Moldova that I haven't seen here, because I'm here to soak up the learning. You understand what I'm saying? And like I always say, it's the best to hear it from the people who live there than to go read a book or something. Yeah, you could read the book, but I want to hear it from you guys. So please comment in the comment section. Let me know what's up, okay? I'm going to leave links to other things that I've reacted to on Romania. Hope you guys enjoy those too. In the meantime, take care of each other, all right? Let's bring some peace in this world so we could all enjoy this beauty that the world have to offer.